And welcome to another episode of Down the Blocks with former Michigan center Chris Young. Tom Crawford here, coming off a loss, a Michigan loss to Ohio State on, what was that, Saturday night? It seems like forever ago. Chris, before we get into Michigan situation, when you watched, like last night, what Penn State did to Michigan State, coming from 14 down, and they won by 4. I mean, is the Big Ten and all this crazy stuff that's going on, is the Big Ten good or bad? It's just, what is it, right? I can't figure out the conference.
The Big Ten is the best conference in the country. There is no doubt about it. I mean, even a team that, still doesn't have a win in the Big Ten in Nebraska, they're in every game. They're competing with, and it doesn't matter if it's Purdue or if it's Wisconsin or whoever it is, they're competing, and it ends up being a 6 or an 8-point game. No one really gets blown out. I mean, blowouts, aside from what we did to Purdue the other day, blowouts really don't happen. You watch the games yesterday. I actually turned off the Michigan State game because I was like, oh, they're up 14 at Penn State. This game is over. There's no way. And then they put up – then Michigan State put up like 14 points after that in the next 20 minutes. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's the best conference in the country, top to bottom. Do we have a team that's got a potential to win a national championship? Yes. Do we have teams that have the potential to go to the Final Four? Yes. Is that going to happen? It's kind of, how it all works with COVID and injuries and all that. But top to bottom, you can't name a better conference in the country than the Big Ten.
Okay. So that being said, all the teams, and all these the coach speak is, oh, you can't take everybody for granted. Well, it's literally the truth this year. And it's not coach speak. It's reality check for everybody. Izzo's learning this. Everybody's learning this. When you look at the remaining schedule, Michigan is at Iowa tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on ESPN. I mean, I think that's going to be a challenge. Myself, Carver Hawkeye, you've played there. Not easy. None of these places are easy.
Nope.
And then Sunday on CBS, Wisconsin coming off a win, but I don't know if coming off a win or coming off a loss is better. But they had a big win at IU last night, and Brad Davison and Johnny Davis were tremendous. Got to deal with them. I mean, how confident do you feel that Michigan can get a couple W's moving forward? Because it's like there's not much margin for error anymore as far as making a tournament.
Well, in our podcast last week, before the second time we played Purdue and then before the Ohio State game, I picked us to win both games. I thought it was very possible for us to win both games. And, the way we beat Purdue is we made shots, we were tough, and we rebounded. The reason we lost to Ohio State is we didn't rebound and we didn't make shots.
Right.
We didn't do the things that we know we need to do to win games. And if we go to Carver Hawkeye and we go 40% from 3, we win the game. No doubt about it. If we come out and we shoot, 2 for 18 or something like that, some really terrible percentage from 3, and we get nothing from a couple starters and we miss a bunch of layups, then it's going to be a slugfest, and we're probably going to lose because we just don't have the type of guys that can win in those type of games.
Yeah.
And playing against that Wisconsin team, I mean, Indiana had them dead and buried last night.
They did.
And they still find some way to come back and win.
Yeah.
Well, okay, the refs overturned the call and the whole thing on the inbounds on the baseline and blah, blah, blah. But they were done, and they just somehow figured out how to scrape and claw and make the right plays at the right time. And it also helps that you have Johnny Davis on your team, who is an instant bucket. We just don't have a guy like that. Yes, we've got Hunter Dickinson, where you can give him the ball inside, he can go to work and he can get you a basket. But we don't have that dynamic wing player that can create his own shot every time and get you a bucket when you need to. So we need other guys to step up, and some games they do, and we win, and we blow out a top 5 team, and then we lose to a team in Ohio State that we should have beat. You were there, I was there. We should have beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
they're not a better team than we are.
No, I don't think so. And I mentioned this to lead off the questions in the post game with Juwan, and it kind of got him going, lathered up, which is always fun to do. Because I threw the stats out, the fact that Michigan had, I think, 8 or 10 more rebounds. They had same amount, a lot more assists, same amount of field goals, same amount of 3 balls, 24 and 4 respectively. Everything's the same, but those doggone free throw, they didn't get the calls in the paint. 12 more free throws for Ohio State.
Yep.
I mean, the officiating, is bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not blaming it. I mean, Michigan had dead legs in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They did, but they didn't get any help from the Zebras at all.
Yeah, that's for sure. And when I was playing, I was never one of those guys, regardless of what happened, that I was going to blame the referees. That was not it. I always said to my teammates, we're playing at home, we're playing on the road. We have to get a big enough lead where we take the referees out of the equation, where they can't make enough calls to change the impact, change the outcome of the game. Well, that being said, I mean, we shot 6 free throws in a Big Ten game.
Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State shot 18. Liddell was 11 for 11.
Oh, he's terrific.
I mean, every time Hunter went to the basket, he was getting pushed and grabbed and stuff like that. And I understand it's a Big Ten, but every once in a while you got to call something.
Yeah.
Musa Diabate, who's down underneath the basket on every possession, fighting and wrestling for every ball, he shot 2 free throws. Eli Brooks was going to the basket and getting bumped every time, and he just wasn't getting calls.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how it could be so inconsistent. If you're going to call it bad both ways. If you're going to not call stuff, don't call it on either side. But when there's such a disparity for one team shooting so many as opposed to the other, normally it's the home team that gets the calls.
Yeah, no shit.
But it's not. The road team comes in to Chrysler and they get all the calls. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like a crew that, you get into the Big Ten tournament and then you get a crew from the MAC doing a couple ACC teams or something like that aren't used to that type of level. That's what it almost seemed like with this Ohio State game, that the crew wasn't necessarily a Big Ten crew or just didn't have a whole lot of experience in this type of a high-level game.
So post-game, again, Juwan said that, and the 3 games in 5 days, I'm going to have you touch on that in a second, but he said he was going to lock the gym and no one's coming in. Because I think he without even looking at the film, he was perceiving some dead legs in there with all those games, and the travel, that Penn State travel before the Purdue game, they're running on adrenaline on that. So locking the gym, fresh slate, reboot. Do you think that will be a big positive factor when they go to Iowa City?
Yeah, a couple days off is always a good thing. But, I mean, I get rebooting and, putting this game behind us and the whole thing. And, like you said, the coach speak. But Caleb Houston's got to get in the gym and he's got to shoot. Kobe Buffkin, he's got to get in the gym and he's got to shoot. Devontae Jones got to get in the gym and he's got to shoot. I mean, you might not be going 5-on-5 up and down, full contact, the whole thing, but you got to go through shooting drills and all that. We're going to get into the Big Ten tournament here in a couple of weeks, and you got the potential to play 4 games in 4 days. You're going to get into the tournament, and you're going to have a 1-day turnaround. And you might hit a buzzer beater on that Friday night, and then you got to play Sunday afternoon. Yeah. You got to deal with the emotion. You have to be able to deal with that and recover from that very, very quickly. And the teams the Michigan teams that have had success in the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA have been able to compartmentalize. We had travel. We won a big game. We blasted a top 10 team, but we still got to show up for this next one. The Mo Wagner teams that really had a lot of success, they were just able to compartmentalize. There was no hangover from the day before, the couple days before from travel. They just went out there and played.
No, that's a really good point. So I'm looking once again. I'm looking the Caleb Houston thing. God, that just mystifies me of this roller coaster. At least when he was early in the year, he was just down. He wasn't going up and going down. He was just down. So now he's kind of going up and then he's going back down. He had a terrific game. He had 4 3-balls against Purdue. Mm-hmm. And then, against, I'm looking at the stats here against Ohio State. He had 34 minutes. So he's getting a lot of playing time, 2 of 5 from the field. This goes back to what they did in State College, where he doesn't get the ball. And I don't know if that's his fault or his teammates' fault, but 2 of 5 from the field and 1 of 4 from beyond the arc.
He sometimes kind of hides on offense though. He doesn't flash to the open spot or make a backdoor cut and a hard backdoor cut looking for the ball. He's like, okay, my job in this offensive set is I'm supposed to run here and I'm supposed to stand in the corner, or I'm supposed to go here and I'm supposed to do that, and that's my job and that's it. And he's not telling guys like, look, let's run this play. Let's get me a shot. Let's do this. Let's do this. There's no initiative for him saying, look, man, I need a shot. I can't play 35 minutes a game in the Big Ten and take 5 shots.
5 shots in 35 minutes?
And 2 of them were in transition. 2 of them were transition shots.
That's right.
It wasn't even in the flow of the offense. So how is that even possible?
Yeah.
And then I'll go back to, I go back to a lot of examples I've used in the past where guys weren't shooting well. Zach Irving. He went on a skid this time of year. He wasn't shooting well. He wasn't shooting well at all. And I was on him on the radio and on podcasts. Dude, just do something else.
Yeah.
Justify yourself being out there. And all of a sudden he was going out there and getting 9 or 10 rebounds, a couple assists, a couple steals, and taking charges and justifying him playing those type of minutes. Where Caleb Houstan right now, the only reason why he's out there is maybe he's going to make some shots. Maybe he's going to do this and do that. And the second thing is, who do we put in instead of him? No, it's just options. And that's the biggest problem. We're getting little to nothing from our bench in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, and it's
really been disappointing.
It's been all season.
Yeah. Well, there's been a little bit of ebbs and flows because every once in a while Terrence Williams will come in or Frankie will come in and someone will come in and show something. But, we're getting absolutely nothing from, Kobe Buffkin. Okay, granted, he doesn't get a whole lot of playing time, but when he does, his head's spinning. So that's not a good solution. Putting, Devontae and Eli and Frankie Collins on the court, that's definitely not an option. So who do we have that can play that, that 2-3 position for Caleb Houstan that when he's just not playing well? We don't have a solution for that right now.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes I've seen Hunter and Caleb out. It's like, where's the scoring going to come from? Sometimes you look at the 5 that Juwan has out there and like, okay, who's going to score?
Yeah.
Brandon's going to get a rebound in here or there, but he's not. He's going to have trouble finishing on putbacks.
Yep.
Even when the opportunities are for tailor-made putbacks, he just does not finish. But I'm telling you what, I'm back to the Ohio State game, and then we're going to drop that sucker.
Yes.
Is this? I thought this game was lost in the first half because Michigan had a shitload of good looks in that first half, particularly down the stretch, last 6. Or the at the under 4 mark after the timeout under 4 mark, they just didn't do anything. And Ohio State got a couple of all of a sudden I was a 3-point lead. I felt terrible at halftime. I said, this is going to slip away.
Yeah. And I was talking to Buddy Mine at halftime, and he's like, this is a slugfest. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what it is. We're just, Eli Brooks, he's the professor. He's the guy. He's been there for 120 years and 1,000-point score and all this kind of stuff. But he went to the bucket 3, maybe 4 different times in that first half and short-armed, pretty wide open.
Right. The runners,
runners that normally are good. I mean, literally ones where he was getting right to the basket and he was missing them. And I don't remember if it was him, if it was Frankie Collins that went right down the lane and laid it up and the shot got blocked and the place went bananas and all that. Good block, bad block, whatever. You still got to make a shot. And we missed so many, pretty much uncontested layups that just drains your energy too. Where you do all this work and all the offense to get these guys into good spots, and then you miss a layup. And then Brandon comes in and he misses a layup, and we miss a wide open 3, and that just kind of snowballs into, oh man, what the hell are we going to do? And then they go down the other end, and Liddell makes one easy move to the basket, gets fouled, and gets an and one. And that just drains you. That as a player, it's like, shit, what do we got to do to get down here and get a bucket?
I remember Frankie had a baseline drive where he tried to dunk over Liddell or one of their bigs.
Yeah.
It's like, it looked cool. It looked cool in attempt. It looked good. Yeah. It looked cool for a Gus Mack I couldn't understand what he was trying to do. That was unrealistic of what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And that's where the intelligence, sometimes this team is not a smart team. And that's an example right there.
That was him listening to the coaches saying, be aggressive. Attack the basket. We know you can do this. Attack the basket. And he was like, well, okay. And he covers his eyes and he goes to the basket and he tries to jump up. And from where I was sitting, where you were sitting, man, it looked cool. But then when they rotated the camera and you saw it from the baseline angle,
it's unrealistic.
He was 6 feet away from the rim. Like he had no chance of doing it.
It was unrealistic, totally, what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. You're coming down the lane and the C's part. Try and dunk with it. Yeah. But, trying to jump over a first-team All-Big Ten guy and all that, man, that's not –
that was critical.
To move him around, let alone Frankie Collins trying to jump over him.
That was a critical possession
It was.
In the second half and early in the second half. And I mean, you could feel it. 7 points, 5 points, 7 points, 5 points, 7 points, 5 points, 6 points, 8 points, 6 points. Couldn't get over the hump. Couldn't hit the big shot. Couldn't get it under 4. Couldn't get it under 5, maybe. Anyway, let's tear that film up right now. Moving forward, do you think? Let's just go to the next 3 big games. Okay, I've talked about the Iowa game at Carver Hawkeye tomorrow night at 7. And then CBS up in Badgerland against Wisconsin. 2 daunting road games.
Yes.
And then you got this Rutgers team, who you should be mad as hell at in payback city mode, okay? But, geez, they're playing good. Rutgers is, holy moly. These next 3 games, what do you expect in terms of the W column, Chris?
I mean, I would love to go 2-1 in these next 3 games. I mean, that's the dream scenario for me, is to go 2-1.
You'd like to, but you're not doing it.
No, I don't see it. I see 1 and 2 at best, and I don't know which one of these games is going to be the one that we win. Okay, we match up. We match up well with Iowa. And we match up well.
With Iowa. Michigan's going to beat Iowa. I
think of all of them, I think that's the most potential to win that game.
Okay.
But Wisconsin is they're just a monster. They've got big, strong guys inside. They've got Johnny Davis on the outside. They've got tough, experienced guards. Going up to Wisconsin, that just the place.
How did Rutgers beat them?
Because Rutgers is their guards. I mean, Ron Harper Jr. is a stud. What's the other guard's name? It slipped my mind right now. Geo Baker.
Geo Baker.
Killer. He's so fast and can get his shot anytime he wants to. Plus, they've got that big athletic kid inside who just dunks everything around the rim.
Then they got the headband guy. Yes. Then they got the headband guy who looks like he's playing in the YMCA.
Yep.
Can't think of his name.
Yep, exactly.
He killed Michigan State.
They've got a bunch of guys that can really play, and now they've shown that, you don't have to come to the rack for us to beat you. We can go and beat you on the road now. Where in years past, it was always Rutgers sucks on the road, but you're not going to beat them at the rack. And now they're beating teams on the road.
Think about this. Wisconsin had just beaten Michigan State. I'm going back a week.
Yep.
So they come home and they lose. It was Rutgers, right? This past weekend?
Yep.
And handily.
Yep. Game wasn't even close.
This is why crazy Big Ten. That's why I was questioning: is everybody good or everybody bad or everybody marginal? Yeah. What's the deal? I mean, Purdue. Look what Michigan did to Purdue. But then look what Maryland almost did to Purdue when Purdue was mad as hell. Come back to Mackey, to blackout, whatever, and they almost shit the bed again. I mean, these are things that I have a hard time deciphering, good or bad, conference-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it kind of goes back to the thing with Tom Izzo and Michigan State, who as an opponent do not want to play in the NCAA tournament. You don't want to play Michigan State and Tom Izzo. The last 25 years, even if they're a 7 seed or an 8 seed, you don't want to play Michigan State. Well, it's getting to the point now we're potentially going to get 6, 7, 8 teams into the tournament. Okay, might be playing games or whatever.
Right.
As these other schools, man, you don't want to see the Big Ten. At least not in the first couple of rounds. I mean, because you might get a Rutgers that's an 8 seed. You don't want to play freaking Rutgers if you're Oregon or if you're BYU or one of these schools out west that hasn't really had to play a tough physical style team.
Right.
This is the best I've seen the Big Ten in a very long time.
Well,
it really is, from top to bottom. There's no easy outs. I mean, looking at this schedule, we don't have an easy game.
No.
There's nothing easy the rest of the way. I mean, nothing.
No, nothing.
You can look at and say, with the exception of maybe Iowa.
Iowa at home. Iowa at home
should be a win, and that might come down to we have to win this game.
I know. So there's pressure.
This might be a game where it's like we have to win this because then we have to go to Ohio State and
2 more losses. 2 more losses.
I don't want them to get in the situation where we're playing on Wednesday in the Big Ten tournament.
I want 18-12 overall. They got 10 losses right now, 13-10. So they have to go 5-2 the rest of the way. In my estimation, to go to Indy,
they very easily could. Yeah.
So
they very easily could do that, but it's just a matter of them showing up and showing out and making shots and playing the way that they're playing. And I hate to put a lot of pressure on an 18-year-old college freshman, but a lot of this falls on Caleb Houstan.
Yeah, it does.
It really does, because
he's got to be consistent. Yeah,
you know what you're getting from Hunter. You know what, at this point, you know what you're getting from Musa Diabate.
And Devontae's pretty consistent.
Devontae, he's gotten consistent. Once we've gotten into the heart of the Big Ten tournament or the Big Ten, he's pretty consistent. Now that Eli's healthy, whatever was going on with his hand or his finger or whatever, he's playing a lot better.
Yeah.
And the bench is just a question mark. So it all falls on Caleb Houstan. And I hate to put all that on an 18-year-old, but that's what it does. That's what it is. And that's why he was as highly touted as he was and reclassified, because he's supposed to be that guy. Well, dude, it's time to step up and be that guy.
Yeah, it is. Well, see why we're going to talk again after that Wisconsin game, after that Iowa game, either Sunday or Monday. We're going to get your take on that. We'll see where we're at. It could be all good or all bad or somewhere in between.
Who knows? I'm expecting somewhere in between, but who really knows? With the way we've been playing and the way everyone else has been playing, who knows?
All right. Another episode of Down the Blocks with Chris Young in the books on the Crawford Podcasting Network. And till next time, great job, CY. Take care.
Thanks, Tom.